Welcome to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast with Darren Mitchell. If you're a sales leader looking to take your leadership to a whole new level, then this is the podcast for you. We'll be exploring tips, techniques, and strategies to help you take your leadership to the exceptional level and allow you to enjoy more money, more meaning, and better sales results. Welcome back to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast, and welcome to a man coming in from Charleston, South Carolina, originally from New York City, Mr. Danny DelVecchio. Welcome to the podcast. And I must say, did I pronounce your surname correctly?
Yeah, you pronounced it perfect.
Excellent. Danny
Unlike most people, unlike anybody who calls me on the phone, you pronounced it perfect. So well done.
So what do they normally say?
Oh, it's DelVecchio every time.
DelVecchio.
They pronounce that CH, that ch. No, it's the two C's. It's the two C's that make it DelVecchio. I don't know. That's not important though.
That's what I reckon. Anyway, I 100% agree with that. Danny, looking forward to this conversation. You're a video producer at Video on Easy Mode, but also a LinkedIn video expert, and have been working with businesses, clients, and doing magic on LinkedIn and using video to drive more sales. So I'm really interested in this conversation. And maybe we'll even talk about things like the LinkedIn algorithm and whether you've got any ideas on how the hell that's working.
I don't think anybody knows exactly how that works, but I don't even think LinkedIn knows exactly how their algorithm works.
And it keeps changing. That's what I don't get. It just keeps changing. And I saw a post you put on yesterday where you were talking about how you had big uptake, big impressions, and all of a sudden it fell off the cliff, and you're thinking, what's going on? I've had the same thing. I was saying, hang on a second, is my content no longer resonating? Do people no longer care? So who knows?
It has nothing to do with that. I'll tell you exactly what it has everything to do with. The fact that LinkedIn wants to make more sales.
So what are you saying? They're prioritizing other things.
All right. We'll get right into it. So
let's get into it.
When I first started making content for my business, I started on Instagram because it was still a side hustle at that time. And I had all my connections on LinkedIn, my boss and his boss and their boss and all that, right? So I started on Instagram, and I was creating content there for over a year. And what I learned is that algorithms are going to change, right? Yeah. And the big change in the algorithm happened when they started to do a thing called boost post.
Right.
Where all of a sudden now you can pay, $5 a day, $10 a day, $20 a day to get your post boosted to more people.
Yeah.
And I used to get about 5,000 views on every single one of my Instagram videos. Mm-hmm. And then boost post happened. And now I started to get 500 views on my Instagram posts and reels, right? And it's the exact same thing with LinkedIn. Yeah. So at the beginning of this year, somewhere in January, February, they started with would you like to boost this post?
Yes.
And at that exact same time, everybody's reach fell off the map, which exactly like I said, they're trying to make more sales. They're trying to drive more revenue, and they want you to pay for that traffic. So if you're wondering why that's happening, the answer is sales and money.
It's all about sales, all about money. Wow. Well, that's good to know, because but even with that, some of the posts that we put up, they go gangbusters. They almost go viral. And thinking, wow, sure. What's going on with that? Is it just, did you happen to say something at the right time with the right keyword? Did somebody see it at the right time? And there's a whole host of things that I don't, as we said before we press record, who knows what the LinkedIn people actually do either, because they probably can't even understand their own algorithms and how it works. So
I think a lot of it is LinkedIn really pushes tactical advice for professionals.
Yeah.
So when you have posts that are tactical, simple advice and actionable for professionals, LinkedIn likes to push that out, and they've made it pretty clear that that's what they like is
Yeah.
tactical advice for professionals.
Yeah.
The other thing that obviously pushes posts out more is engagement.
Mm.
So the more people that like or comment or share your post, that obviously pushes the post out to more people. And the way that the algorithms kind of work, as far as I know, this is I'm not an algorithm expert or anything, but what ultimately happens is when you put out a post, it sends out a sample to your network, the people that are first level connections to you and followers of you.
Yeah.
And then it also sends out a small sample to people who are not
Okay.
followers or connections of you. And when your followers and connections start to engage with that post, it that signifies to LinkedIn, let's send it out to more of those
More.
followers and
Yeah.
more of those people. But when your non-followers start to engage with that post, then it starts to send it out to those people. And when it starts to send out to both of those groups at the same time, that's how you get virality.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Got it.
So it's got to catch traction really quickly from your non-followers
Mm.
and your followers. And that's where viral posts come from.
Interesting. So I'd love to talk about, I guess, how you use video to sort of create that and some of the key tactics. But before we do that, it'd be remiss of me not to ask you about your background and what's led you to do this. You've said you started with Instagram as a bit of a side hustle, been doing videos there. But going back a few years, where did it all start for you, and what was it that was the catalyst for you jumping into to video, working with organizations, working with businesses, and really using this as a I guess a marketing and a credibility inducing forum?
Yeah, totally. So I have zero background in video production.
Wow,
None
none.
whatsoever. No. My background is in sales.
Is
I
that
was a
right?
sa- I was a sales rep, I was a sales manager, I was a sales director, I was a sales trainer. 20 years in sales.
Okay.
Started in retail, worked my way. I worked mainly in telecom. Like I said, I started in retail. I worked at Radio Shack, which
Uh-huh.
no longer exists in the US. It was a big electronics store in the US that doesn't
Yeah.
exist any longer. I worked at Radio Shack, then I worked at AT&T, which I'm not sure if people in Australia, AT&T is a huge telecom provider, right? I'm not sure, but they probably know. They probably know AT&T.
Yeah, we do. I
So
worked at Optus and Telstra, which is the two biggest in Australia.
there you go. So
Yeah.
I worked at AT&T for 7 years. I worked my first few years in retail, and then I went to B2B sales.
Mm.
And I did B2B sales for AT&T for 4 years. And then after that, I went into started working with an AT&T authorized retailer and solution provider. And I did another 6 or 7 years with them. So the majority of my sales career was in telecom, mainly the mobility space, doing the
Okay.
mobile
Yeah.
phones and everything like that, right? And mobile applications and mostly working on the business side. And it was when I went into the other company, that's when I got into sales leadership. I came over as a sales rep. It was an authorized retailer that actually owned and operated 1,500 AT&T stores across the country,
Okay.
and they had no B2B team.
Yeah.
So they decided as an initiative from AT&T, AT&T was like, I want you guys to build a B2B sales team. And they didn't even want to do it really because they had tried it before and it failed. And but AT&T kind of really pushed on them to do it.
Yeah.
So they started this B2B team and I was one of the first reps that they hired for that. And within a few months, they decided that they were going to grow it because it was working well. And I got promoted to be a sales manager. And then within a year, I became a sales director because we grew from the original 8 reps that we had when I was hired to 150 reps in 2.5 years.
Wow. That's huge
Yeah.
growth.
So yeah, we had a massive growth in our B2B division again because AT&T had a very big focus on on, getting this up and running for all of their
Yeah.
authorized retailers. And they brought in a guy who was really good to lead it. And, he brought in some other good people like myself.
Hmm.
I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I did a pretty good job over there. President's Club and all those things, right?
Love it.
But yeah, we did a really good job of growing the business over there. So that's how I got into. So that's where my sales background comes in. 2015. This is, and I'm just it's just before I start working at this company that I just described there,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was called Spring Communications. Uh, I decided that I want to get into, do something creative, hobby,
Yeah.
and I decided that I was going to start a podcast. I listened to my
Interesting.
first podcast, and I'm like, I could do this. Seems like fun, right? So I started a podcast with my buddy, and literally we talked about TV and movies, and we just kind of used to bullshit back and
Yeah.
forth and hang out. We had a good time. And when I started podcasting, I learned that there's two ways that you can get people to listen to a podcast. You could either pay to play,
Yeah.
or you could do organic social media.
Yeah.
So this was my first introduction to the world of social media.
Okay.
So I started a social media account for our podcast, and I started pushing it out there, and my podcast blew up on social media. I ended up getting I think we had about 30,000 followers between Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And then we had 500,000 listeners on the podcast.
Nice.
And yeah, it's kind of niche TV show podcast or whatever, right? And so I ended up shutting it down because I got promoted at work, and I became a sales director, and I started doing a lot of traveling. And this is probably in the 2017, 2018 timeframe or whatever. I was
Yeah.
doing a ton of travel. So I had to give up the podcast. But 2022, when I wanted to start my own business, sales. I'll tell you what happened with my last sales position was ultimately that company that I was working with got acquired,
Right.
and I ended up at a new company, and I started in March of 2020 of all
Oh,
of all
great timing.
times.
Great
Yeah.
timing.
And I couldn't get another sales leadership position because, timing is a little off, right? So I
Yeah.
just took a sales representative, a senior level sales representative position at an HR company, brand new to the industry, never done it before. And, in the middle of a pandemic and trying to navigate that. So, I'm like, all right, I want to start a little side hustle for myself. So I started podcasting, and I was like, this time I'm going to figure out how to take my podcast and turn it and monetize it and do all these things. Right. And I had no idea how to monetize a podcast because as many listeners as I had in that other podcast, it
Mm.
was a hobby, and I never even thought about monetizing that audience. So this time I go into with the mindset of like, I'm going to do a new podcast and I'm going to monetize it. Well, I did terrible. I couldn't get anybody to listen to the thing. So I'm like, what the hell? What am I doing wrong? So I joined this podcast mastermind group, and I meet this guy, Travis Brown, and he's like, you know, helping me with my podcast. He knows I'm very frustrated, and he starts to kind of learn a little bit more about me, and he learns about the sales background and business, and I've been working in B2B, and I helped grow this company. And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Why are you trying to make a podcast into a business?" He's like, "You got all these business skills. Become a coach."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Well, what the hell is a coach?" I had no idea I
What's
had
a
no idea what that
coach?
even means, really, right? And that's how I got into the world of like online coaching. And right, I listened to his advice, and I stopped podcasting, and I started putting content out on Instagram to drive people to my coaching business. And
Hmm.
that was my side hustle. And I was coaching people on the two things that I was good at:
Yep.
sales and social media.
Yep.
The social media experience I had from the podcast, the sales stuff that I had from my 20 years experience. And I was working with founders and small business owners and helping them, use social media to drive revenue to their
Mm.
business.
Mm.
And I kept coming across the same obstacle.
Yeah.
I would tell these clients, you need to make videos, you need to make videos, you need to make videos because videos is the number one thing that is going to differentiate you from everybody else out there who has a similar product, who has a similar service, who promises similar results to you.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that's going to set you apart in this new social media landscape is get on creating videos.
Mm.
And everybody was like, yes, Danny, I completely agree with you. However, video is really hard. And it's hard for people for a number of reasons. Like, number one, there's the people who are just like, I'm deathly afraid to get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You and I don't have that problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do.
I do.
Another one was, I don't have time to be creating video content. Like I have a business to run. I don't have time to like do the filming, come up with the ideas, write the script, do the editing, all that stuff. I'm not a professional video editor, right? And then the other thing is like, I just don't really know where to start
Yeah.
because there's a lot that goes into creating video content. It's like, well, first off, do I use my phone? Do I use my camera? Do I need to go out and buy $1,000 camera? Do I,
Yeah.
do vertical or horizontal? Do I need captions? How do I get captions? Right? There's like so much stuff that goes into it that it basically becomes very overwhelming for people. So they just don't do it.
Yeah.
So what I did was I said, how do I solve all these problems for my clients? And
Mm.
how do I deliver them a high quality video in a really short period of time and do it in a way that is very comfortable, where people could just be themselves and talk about their business and talk about how they're helping their clients and share their stories and insights in a very cool, comfortable setting. And that is how Video on Easy Mode was born.
Mm.
So I started doing this with a couple of my coaching clients, and this person told this person about it, and it started to catch on. And before I knew it, I wasn't a coach anymore. I was running an agency, and I
Yeah.
was running a video production agency and mainly working with founders and small business owners and helping them create their video content through this really cool process that I had discovered.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for the last 2.5 years, and I have done it for over 200 people. And I've helped, drive thousands and thousands of, I've done thousands and thousands of videos, which has helped drive millions of dollars in revenue for the companies that I've worked with,
Yeah.
and I mostly work with smaller companies because
Yeah.
my background is always in kind of small business SMB space. So
Yeah.
that's really where I focus.
So with and thank you so much for sharing that. And I
I know
didn't.
it was a long way to get to
No,
that.
but it's really interesting that because when I talk to sales leaders, often they fall into sales. I've never met a person that's actually woken up one day and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to be a salesperson. I want to be a sales leader. I want to be a vice president of sales one day." It never happens. It evolves into that. But using your background and then moving into the coaching space and being able to help people develop through some of the lessons you've learned through being salesperson, sales manager, sales director, and so forth helps business people because we talk about the principles of leadership, the principles of influence, whether you're a salesperson, a sales leader or not, they still apply equally, right? So
Oh,
everybody
totally.
is a salesperson, even though they may not be necessarily selling a product, always selling ourselves. So that was a really, really interesting background. One question I was going to ask you is, what's been one of the biggest lessons going from being as part of AT&T, then being a sales director, expanding, um, moving now into the coaching and now the video production and the agency space. Looking back, what's the biggest lesson you've learned that's helped you become, I guess, successful and as a foundation for future growth?
Yeah, sure. So I'll tell you something. When I first started this agency, I couldn't sell shit. and, and I st- and I was doubting myself, man. And like when I worked at AT&T, again, I did very well. I made, I was one of the top performers in my market. I consistently made I won 4 trips. I was going, I was winning, these sales contests. I was always a top performer. And I was always used to that's how I was, right?
Yeah.
I'm a hard worker. I'm personable. So I have like some of the traits that are, I'm self-motivated. I have a lot of the traits that a good salesperson has. And meanwhile, I'm trying to sell this thing and I can't sell shit. And the reason that I was struggling to sell so badly was that I was on the wrong channel.
Right.
I was trying to sell video to businesses on Instagram, and the people on Instagram, they were all already doing videos.
Yeah.
Reels were popping and everybody was doing reels. And
Yeah.
the style of video that I was doing, the talking head style video for businesses, was just people weren't biting on it.
Mm.
And it's funny, I actually ended up shutting the company down, the agency down. And I'm like, I'm going to just go back to trying to do coaching, but I'm going to
Yeah.
move myself over to LinkedIn because I did end up quitting my last sales job.
Yeah.
And it's been actually, man, I don't know. It could be like 3 years today. It's
Okay.
like it's that close. 3 years ago, I quit that, and I started just kind of posting on LinkedIn at that point, and I was using LinkedIn to put my content on in addition to Instagram. I was trying to
Mm.
find a new platform because Instagram wasn't working for me, and it took me a long time to get traction on LinkedIn, but I started putting my content out, and I was doing a lot of video content.
Yeah.
And nobody on LinkedIn was doing video content. Like, I mean, very few people were doing it on
Yes.
in 2022, 2023, right?
Yeah.
Very few people doing video. I'm one of the only ones. And what I kept getting questions on was, how do you do this with video? How do you do this with video? How do you do this with video? How do you do this? And I realized, I'm like, the market, it's here. The market that I was looking for on Instagram, the people on LinkedIn, they're
Mm.
they're they're years behind the people on Instagram. They really need help with video.
Yeah.
And I actually reached out to a very large creator on LinkedIn who's got, big 100+ thousand followers or whatever,
Yeah.
because I saw a post that she put. It was a tweet. She put a tweet on Twitter, and she's like, in a very strange turn of events, my video content on LinkedIn is doing better than all of my other content. And then at the very end of it, she wrote, too bad I hate doing it. And I was like, this is it. I'm like, this is my opening. This is my opening,
Yes.
right? So I reach out to her and I say, hey, I know you don't really know me from a hole in the wall, but we do have some mutual connections or whatever. Um, I have a service that I think might be really beneficial to people on LinkedIn. And given that I recognize that you are a LinkedIn expert,
Yeah.
I was wondering if you might be able to give me some feedback on it. And she was like, sure, go ahead, tell me about it. So I send her a quick 1 minute voice note explaining the service. I say, here's what I do. I record, I come up with ideas. I record with you. I got a team that does edits for you. So you spend an hour with me and you get a month's worth of videos.
Yeah.
And she comes back to me and says, people should be lined up to buy that.
Yes.
And I said, okay, cool. Well, what
Good
about you?
feedback.
I said, what
What
about
about
you? I'm like,
you?
want to buy it? I'm like, except I don't want to charge you for it. I want to
Yeah.
give it to you for free. Let me do it for you, and let me help you out. And if you like what we come up with for you, all I ask is that you tell a couple people about it, you share a testimonial for me, all good. And
Yeah.
she's like, really? And I'm like, absolutely, no problem. So she's like, yes, let's do it, no problem. She takes months to book it. I mean, like it was like she booked it and then she was getting her house done and she was like, I need to push this off. It took like 2 to 3 months before we actually recorded. Right. Then it took like another two months. Then she gets the videos and starts posting them on Instagram. And I'm like,
Oh no.
I'm like, I'm like, I'm like, you're killing me. I'm like, are you gonna post these on LinkedIn or what? Right. Then she's in the UK, so she's 6 hours ahead of me.
Yeah,
One day I wake up, it's in May or June of 2023. And I wake up and I've got 200 connection requests and messages and messages and messages. And I'm like, what the hell happened?
yeah.
And there it is. She posted one of the videos. And not only did she post the video, but she wrote a really like nice recommendation about how easy the process it was and how I was a pleasure to work with and the output was beautiful. And I signed 7 clients that day.
Wow.
And I haven't looked back since. That's exactly when the business took off. Was as soon as I had that validation, I was struggling to sell, freaking ready to give it up, go back to the 9 to 5, doubting myself, like doubting all of the success. Maybe I wasn't a good salesperson. Maybe I just had it easy. Maybe I had a good territory, like, and sure enough, I closed 7 people that day, and it's been over 200 people that I've closed since then on this video service, and it's become obviously the core offer that I do is creating video content for companies.
That's brilliant. And I mean, there's a number of things in there, Danny, in terms
There's
of
a few lessons. I know
being.
you asked for one,
No,
but
no,
like,
but what's really interesting about that is, and we say this all the time in sales, and I certainly say this for sales leaders as well. You're only one connection away from your business exploding or taking your organization to the next level. You just don't know who that connection is. So you've always got to be visible. You've always got to be consistent. But also you need to be ready for that opportunity. So how serendipitous was it? I know that's a big word, but you saw this particular post. And there was one thing that was a catalyst, and then you took the action with no real expectation as to whether she was going to respond. Because how many
right,
people with 100,000 followers have somebody else looking at their LinkedIn profile or their X feeds or whatever, not doing it themselves? There was no guarantee it was going to respond, but she
not at
did.
all.
But you then followed the trail and you delivered the value with no real expectation of anything in return. But then it happened, and it was delivering value.
Yes, and so the couple little lessons in there is like one is a great way to reach out to people that have a large audience is to reach out to them on a different channel where they don't have a huge audience.
Yeah,
Because had I tried to reach out to her on LinkedIn, my message probably would have got lost in the noise. But because I reached out to her on Twitter where she was putting out content and really looking to build
yeah,
and was more new at it, it worked really well,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, so there's that. That's one lesson. The other thing is, you know, if you don't have social proof, the best thing that you can do is go freaking get some. It doesn't
yeah,
matter how you have to get it because social proof is obviously the number one thing that helps drive sales, especially sales online for anybody that's trying to promote their business online. Social proof posts, video testimonials, just talk about what you're doing with your clients, behind the scenes footage of how you're working with clients. That is the number one kind of type of thing that drives
mm,
sales for me, or at least for me and for my clients,
yeah,
right? There's a huge demand right now for video testimonials, and that's why my business has moved into creating video testimonials for companies now because people want them, right? So in this particular instance, it was like go get the video testimonial, and that social proof. Not only does it help the customers sell for you, where you don't have to do the selling, but it gave me the confidence that I needed. Like it validated that like I have something here,
yeah.
which like because we all know as salespeople, and I assume most people that are listening to this are salespeople, if you aren't confident in your own product or service that you're selling, you're not going to sell it.
That's it.
And if you need to get that confidence, What got that confidence for me was that I went out and got the validation.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got that validation, it was like, and the social proof off and running.
Mm. Game over. Game over. It's interesting. Um, Now there are people going to be listening to this, and I think you mentioned it before. One of the reasons why people either resist or don't do video because, oh, I don't like the way I look on video, or what the hell am I going to say? Now, if you look at most social media platforms today, and LinkedIn being one of them, there's a lot of video still that's actually loading, and we keep hearing that LinkedIn, X, Instagram, they're going to prioritize video because that's what most people want to see now. So going back to selling, and I guess, back when you were doing the President's Club 4 times, which you said very nicely, always thinking about what makes us different, what differentiates us, what's our value proposition, what makes us unique. Um, what do you say to clients? Because obviously you'd be working with clients who maybe have trepidation around getting on video.
Yeah.
How do you help them break down some of those barriers? And what are some of the barriers to entry for some of these, like whether it be a founder, whether it be an organization trying to expand their reach, increase their credibility? How do we help them get over the hump of it's not about me, it's about how do I serve my marketplace in the best possible way?
Yeah, totally. So there's two different approaches to creating video content, right? And I call one of the approaches the lecturer, where I am literally going to lecture to the camera. I am going to turn on the camera. It's just me and the camera, and I need to go and I need to give some context and I need to deliver,
Yeah,
right? And that's a really hard type of content to make, right? It's not it's not that it's hard. It just takes like a lot of practice to get good at,
yeah, yeah.
right? Um, but then there's this other style of content, and it's what I would call the laid back style of content.
Hmm.
And it's a conversation. It's exactly what you and I are doing right now.
Yeah,
So I could go from this podcast and I could probably cut out 5, 10, 15 clips of good stuff that I said and turn that into content.
yeah,
And to be honest with you, given the fact that AI is just rampant and everybody is skeptical, the laid back style of content actually works better.
yes.
And because you're just having a conversation and you're not really worried about the camera, you can be really good at it on your first time ever. Like
That's
you don't need
right.
to practice. You can literally be good on video immediately. And this is what we built video on easy mode for. So literally what we do is we research topics. We come up with the right topics for your audience. Because that's the other thing.
Yeah,
Is like you need to have the right topics that resonate with your target market. Because if you are talking about the right things, and like people start to see you as an expert, and then they start to build that connection and that familiarity with you, and
mm,
you become that like authority, but you also become this person that feels more accessible
yes,
because people feel like they kind of know you already, and it makes you very comfortable for them to just reach out to and say, hey, can you tell me like a little bit more about what you got going on or how this works and everything, right?
yeah,
So that is what we built our video program on. Is we do this conversational style. We cut the clips. I've got an amazing editing team that does all the editing. And we go deep on research. And I think this is the piece of my business that people overlook the most, is the fact that we really research the topics and the target markets
yeah,
to make sure that the content is hyper relevant. It's talking about things that are top of mind. It's talking about, you know, sharing I would say, contrarian takes that people have about the industry, and opening people up to new perspectives and maybe that they didn't look at it one way. And I like opinion content. I think opinion content is a really good thing because especially when it comes to sales,
Yeah.
because people that share your opinion, they feel like they have a similar values to you, and those are the people that are most likely going to buy from you.
Yeah.
And the people that hate your opinion are probably the people that like you're probably going to have a really frustrating, hard time either working with or selling to.
Yeah.
Um, so like it almost like repels away some of the people that you probably don't want to start a
Mm.
relationship with anyway, and attracts the people who are most likely to really resonate with you and move forward with
Mm.
sales,
Yeah.
right? So that's one of the things that we're looking to create with our clients. But again, it's all about, getting in that comfortable setting. It's all about talking about the right things, and it's all about, keeping it concise and, having somebody to do the production for you. And I think that's the other thing. Like people get stuck because they try to do the production themselves,
Yeah.
and like they spend all this time and they waste all this time, and it's frustrating and it's debilitating. It's literally debilitating when like you spend 60 minutes trying to make a video and you get like a 30-second video that you hate, you know? And then you come in and like you work with me for 1 hour and you get 16 videos, and like they're all like perfect and relevant to your target market, and you're like, what the hell was I doing like all this
Yes.
time? Like I just like had it all wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I had guys that come and tell me like, oh, it takes me, I spent 2 hours making this video, or I spent 3 hours making a video, or I had one guy who was like, spent 8 hours making a video, and I'm like, that's not a good use of your time.
No.
Like that's a horrible use of your time. Like you could have paid somebody like $30 to have them like professionally edit the video for you, and it wouldn't be like, and it would be better than what you did, right? Like stop doing that. Stop doing that. Sorry, you struck a nerve.
No, well, it's interesting because I just reflect as you were talking, I was reflecting on what I was doing just at the beginning of COVID. So you mentioned March 2020. I was at that time. It was the first of April 2020. I started this podcast, right? So the first of that was
Okay.
the first episode. But at the same time, I was doing some videos that I was just uploading to LinkedIn, and it was what you would then describe as the lecture, right? I set up my phone on a tripod. I was talking about a topic, recognizing that you could only do it for a certain amount of time, otherwise it's too big to upload to LinkedIn. But I remember taking, sometimes it would literally take me an hour to get the message out because I wanted it to be conversational. I didn't want it to sound like it was scripted, and I was just talking, and it might have been I don't know, talking about for 2 minutes on the concept of trust and why trust is important for leaders. And I'd upload it, but then I'd put the captions on it as well and try to edit it. And because I use a Mac, so I used iMovie and all that sort of stuff. But then now I fast forward and I don't do much. So the videos that I do here is just I put it into a Decipher, and that's the AI platform, and it cuts reels and it's done. But I'm thinking all the videos now, they've got us talking, then it's overlaid with other people. They've got overlays with music, they've got animations in there. I'm thinking, man, that's really complicated. I don't want to get involved in that. I don't want to know that. Give it to somebody
Right.
that can do that sort of stuff. So are there any other barriers that people have when it comes to video? Because I can see that video and bridging the gap between your ideal customer and you, video is a great way to do that because they get to see you and they get to hear you and they get to see you in terms of your physiology.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Like I said, I think it's the number one way to build that deeper connection and build that trust and that familiarity with with the potential prospects that are out there, right? And I think even if you're somebody who is either running a sales organization or you're a founder or CEO, like you being on video and like having your sales team being able to share your videos with their potential prospects and say, hey, our CEO made this video. I thought of you,
Yeah.
right? Like that's going to help your sales team close more deals
Mm.
because, again, people are now starting to associate you as the face of your company. and like, you're getting your insights and your thoughts out there, like the whole thought leadership angle, and CEOs and executive leaders like building in public and sharing like the things that they're doing and putting themselves out there is only going to help like arm your sales team to drive more sales. And and I would encourage even your salespeople to be making content, right?
Mm.
I did an interview recently on my own podcast with a woman named Alexis who worked for Cisco. She was a Cisco sales engineer.
Yep.
She has 250,000 followers across Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok and YouTube. I mean, she's on, I think, those three platforms: Instagram,
Yep.
LinkedIn, and TikTok. She's got over 250,000 followers. Every single one of her videos gets thousands and thousands of views. And like, you don't think that's helping Cisco that they've got
Yeah.
a salesperson? And I mean, she doesn't work for them any longer.
Yeah.
She went and she works for another IT company called Megaport. But um, you know, that drove a lot of business for Cisco.
Yeah.
She would be getting questions all the time about,
Mm.
how do I do this and how do I do this? And she broke it down very simple for me. She's like, when I first started creating content for Cisco, it was, here are the top 25 questions that my clients ask, and I'm just going to start making videos on each one.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go. It's simple.
Yeah, it's simpler than people make it out to be,
Yeah. Okay.
right? Um, and you know, as long as you can, again, I encourage people to get a little help, right? Not to try to do it all on their own, because then it does become a little bit frustrating and overwhelming and everything. But if you have somebody helping you, it's going to make a significant impact on your business, and it's going to help you drive more sales. But going back to your question, like as far as the barriers to people doing video, people don't want to spend the time. That's
Yeah.
another one. It's like, but again, if you do something like this, like, where we sit down for an hour and we have an hour long conversation, and for me with our clients, it's not even a continuous conversation. Like, we have mini conversations so that we can create mini videos, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so it's even like a little bit faster paced or whatever, right? You can sit down and create a month's or 2 months worth of content in an hour.
Yeah.
And then now we're all powered with AI, right? So here's what everybody does: is they take their video, they come up with their topics, and then they ask AI to create a post about their topic, right? And then AI spits out some stuff that really sounds like AI. um, but with our clients, what we do is we give them the transcript of their video. So now that AI has your voice, it has your thoughts, it has your kind of tone and vibe. And when you say, here, create a post, and make sure you
Mm.
keep the tone to what, very similar to what it sounds
Yeah.
like in this transcript. And now your writing is like 70 to 80% of the way there, and it
Yeah.
feels like you. And now all you need to do is go in and edit it.
That's
So
it.
instead of you sitting down and, spending 30, 45 minutes, an hour to write a post, you're spending 10, 15 minutes to edit a post,
Yeah.
because you already have all this video content to base it off of.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So with that, one of the questions I had for you around the content is the companies that you work with, and like the influencers and the executives and so forth. Is there like a formula that you tend to use in terms of being instructional, being informative to build credibility, as distinct from sales pitch, right? Buy my stuff, right? Now
Yes.
we know we have to ask for the sale, but in order to earn the right to ask for the sale, we have to build a level of credibility and talk to the problem that our ideal customers are actually experiencing. So when you're looking at that, do you have like, and I'm not saying is it 1 in 5, or is there something that you weave into the videos
Yeah.
that
I'll give
plant
you
the
my
seeds?
framework. So I use a framework called um, ECP,
Okay.
and it's educate, connect, and promote. Those are the three things that you're doing in your content. Number one is you're educating people. This is your, your tips and tricks, and this is how-to type of content, right?
Yep.
Where you're basically giving educational tip. The idea and the purpose behind the educational tips are to build your credibility, because if like let's use sales leadership as an example. In order for people to know that Darren is an expert in sales leadership, Darren has to talk about the things that he's, give some advice and things on sales leadership to build your expertise. Done, right? Number two, or C, is connect.
Yep.
And the idea behind connection content is to build that deeper, to build know, like, trust factor,
Yep.
right? People talk about know, like, trust. I know it's kind of like a cheesy cliche kind of thing, but it's true. Know, like,
Mm,
trust factor is very real, right?
mm.
Um, and the best way to build your know, like, trust factor is by sharing your own stories, your own journey. Again, I talked a little bit earlier about opinion content, like sharing
Yep.
your opinions and your industry insights, like what your predictions are for the industry. These types of things, like these help people see, again, also see you as an authority, as an expert, but they also start to build a connection to your personality at the same time,
Yeah.
right? Um, and then lastly is promotional content. And promotional content is not like asking for the sale. Promotional content is, here is what we are doing with our clients. That's what promotional content is. It's
Hmm.
this client came to us with this problem,
Yep.
and here's how we are solving it for them. Or this client came to us 2 years ago in this situation, and we did this, and this is where they are now.
Yep.
Um, or again, bringing it back to video testimonials or seeing it directly from the client.
Yep.
That's the best promotional content that you can have, is letting the clients do the selling for you. I listened to, what you would call it. There was the Diary of a CEO podcast.
Hmm.
They had Alex Hormozy and Cody Sanchez and Daniel Priestley. Like these are like these big like entrepreneur influencer audience
Yep.
types. And Hormozy was saying, if you're trying to sell anyone, he's like, if you want to sell anyone anything, proof will always beat promise. And I'm like,
Cool.
beautiful. And I literally turned that into a video for my service. I took the clip and I wrote, I was like, Hormozy made a commercial for me. And Cody Sanchez said, the holy grail of business is always having your clients tell other people nice things about you.
Yeah.
Right. So that content is never going to get the most views. It's never going to go viral, but that is the content that takes the people who have been seeing you over and over again, have
Yeah.
some connection to you, recognize you as an expert. That's what's going to take them from, casually viewing your content to raising their hand and saying, I want to work with you.
That's it. Because that then feeds directly back into the know, like, trust, and remember, because you've got now consistency. So you're not out there blowing your own trumpet, but you're out there creating value, solving people's problems. But then you have others talk about the fact you've solved their problem, and all of a sudden you've got that third party proof. So there's credibility there. And
Exactly.
when people are ready to make a buying decision, you're the first person they're going to be thinking about.
Exactly. That's what
Brilliant.
you want. You want to be the
Absolutely.
first. You want to be, it's like, when I think sales leadership, the first person that I think of is Darren. That's it.
Yeah.
So like, this is what I have worked hard to build over the last 3 years. And like why I've posted on LinkedIn every day, basically for 3 years, is like when people think about who is the best person at creating videos for companies on LinkedIn, and a lot of people like, I mean, there's a couple other people like in my space that are doing really good things, but like a lot of people will tell you, it's Danny DelVecchio, easy.
Yeah. Done. Credibility.
It's beautiful. It's
I
a
like
beautiful
trust.
thing.
And you're a good bloke as well, which helps.
Oh, well, thanks. Thanks. I enjoyed this. This was fun. This was fun.
We haven't quite finished yet. We are going to bring it into a close, but there's one question I did want to ask you, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
so we've talked a lot about the building credibility, spending an hour with you, cutting up the videos, and have a month's worth of content. one thing I'm really curious about, and I love your take on this, is you talk about personalized video outreach. So people
Yeah,
listening to this might be using LinkedIn as a prospecting tool, business development
sure.
tool. So we do the messaging, we do the audio. What's your take on, and have you got some tips around using video to do personalized outreach?
Yeah, I love the idea of it. Again, there's nothing more personal than a video. Um, just a couple best practices. I think it's heavy for a first touch,
Okay.
right? So I think that you need a connection request, you need a slight exchange before you just go diving into a video, right?
Yeah.
So I think like a connection request, a welcome message at first. Maybe you get a reply to that welcome message, and then it's a quick 30-second video that's very personalized to something that you have researched about that particular company that you feel like you can address. So for me, it would be something like, "Hey, I was browsing your LinkedIn profile. I noticed that you're putting out content, but you're not doing any video right now. And over the last 2 years, I've helped over 200 founders and thought leaders and executives create video content for LinkedIn and help them drive millions in sales pipeline. So I just wanted to put this on your radar, get your thoughts and ideas, and see if it's something that is on your roadmap. Give me a shout back and let me know.
Yeah.
It's
Love it.
that simple. It's not like you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's just you do want to introduce them to your thing. You want to talk about how you worked with similar companies to theirs. But it works. It works. Like I said, I think it comes on a little bit strong as a first touch point.
Yeah.
But I think once you have a connection established and a welcome message sent out, like, appreciate the connection, thank you, you can dive into that.
Yeah, I like that.
And
And
it's
you
worth your time. It's worth your time for your highest level prospects for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's going to differentiate because most people, as we've already talked about, the vast majority of people will avoid jumping on a video, particularly if,
Yeah, they're
and it
they're
doesn't
going to
have,
avoid anything that doesn't feel comfortable.
that's right. So get it done. Get it done. Hey, Danny, this has been a great conversation. You've taught me a few things as well and some things to think about for my clients.
So
Um,
James came through again.
Well, yes, and look, full disclosure for people that listen to this, there's a wonderful man out of the US called James.
He introduced us. He introduced
Yes,
he introduced James Bracken introduced
James
Darren and
Bracken. I
myself.
keep saying McCracken. I've got this other guy I know, McCracken. James Bracken. Not just James Bracken. James Bracken the fourth.
The fourth.
The
Yes.
fourth.
He's a legend.
He's young, but he does his research and he sends great people to the podcast, which is phenomenal. So yes, mate, you've passed the James test, and his 100% record is well and truly maintained.
Mm.
Um, Now, before I ask you where people can reach out to you and connect and learn more about you, is there one parting gift, if you like, in terms of advice, guidance, principle that you'd like to leave people with when it comes to, building credibility, penetrating markets, using video as a way of doing that we haven't talked about?
I mean, I feel like we've hit it all. With the exception of maybe, there's a lot of ups and downs, right? LinkedIn reach goes up and down, and you're gonna get bombarded with like you're gonna have some good times, and then business has peaks and valleys, and I think anybody that's in sales has experienced that at some point, right?
Mm.
So to me, the only thing that I would say is just build up that resilience and just keep showing up, and don't give up. Like I said, I was close to giving up and going back to that 9 to 5, and then that one opportunity, really turned it around. So just keep putting it out there and keep showing up, and good things will happen always.
And I think the lesson, and thank you for sharing that. I'm so glad you shared that because it's about staying the course. And I talk to sales teams and leaders all the time, and you know, taking a little bit from Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game, is if you stay the course and you're consistent and you're delivering good value and your intention is to continue to deliver good value, don't measure your success based on the vanity metrics. Measure your success based on the impact that you're having, because you are having an impact. Because as you would know, there are a lot of people that watch you on LinkedIn that may not necessarily comment, they may not necessarily like it, but they're watching you. And at some point, when they are in a position to either buy something, take some form of action, or they've got somebody in their inner circle who's in that point, because you've been consistent, you're going to have recommendations coming to you that you never thought were coming and you never expected, but they've been there. So stay the course.
Yeah, I'm with that. I
Love it.
like it.
Love it.
Beautiful.
So, Danny, for people who want to learn more about what you do, have a chat to you, connect with you, where's the best place, my friend?
Yeah, just find me on LinkedIn, Danny DelVecchio. That's the number one place that you can find me. You can check out my YouTube channel as well, which is Coach Danny D. And but yeah, Danny DelVecchio on LinkedIn. Or you can go to videooneasymode.com and check out some of the what we do for video on easy mode.
Brilliant. I'll put all of those in the show notes. And
Oh, thank you so much, Darren. This was fun, man. Even though
hey,
it's late, it's US and Australia is tough to coordinate times. I got to tell you, I have clients in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and we're always on. It's always my late night. I'm up. I burn the candles on those nights when I work with the international clients, but it's fun. I enjoy it.
it is a pleasure having you on the podcast. I do know it's late, 9:36 now in Charleston. So, mate, greatly appreciate. You were telling me earlier that it's nearly bedtime. So, hopefully, this has been a catalyst for you to hopefully stay up a little bit longer because hopefully you're a bit more energized now.
No, I'm not going to be able to go to bed now. No, I'm going to have to watch a little TV or whatever. But it was worth it, man. It was worth it. I had a lot of fun.
Brilliant. Danny, thanks so much for being a podcast guest and mate, keep up the fantastic work.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast. I trust the information in this episode has been helpful in your journey towards becoming exceptional. And remember, please take the time to rate the show, subscribe to the show so other people can find it. But also, if I can help you, jump on my calendar, go to leadwithdarren.com and let's have a conversation about how I can help you along your journey to being exceptional.